In the cold, unforgiving expanse of space, Earth had become a shadow of its former self. The planet's surface bore deep scars from centuries of conflict, environmental collapse, and near-total destruction. Humanity had not just survived, they had been forged into something entirely different. Captain J. Park stood motionless on the observation deck of Horizon Station, the last remaining orbital platform circling the wounded planet. His eyes traced the broken continents below, patches of green struggling against vast stretches of gray and brown wasteland. Each region told a story of survival, of people who had learned to adapt or perish. The station hummed with a quiet intensity. Survivors moved with purpose, their movements calculated and efficient. Years of harsh conditions had stripped away unnecessary movements, creating a population of lean, determined individuals who understood the true meaning of survival. Outside, the reinforced windows, distant stars flickered like tiny reminders of hope. But Jay knew hope was a luxury they could rarely afford. The Void Swarm was approaching, a cosmic predator that had consumed entire civilizations without mercy or hesitation. Intelligence reports spoke of 17 advanced species already destroyed. Massive technological empires that had existed for thousands of years reduced to cosmic dust in mere moments. Each civilization had believed they were prepared. Each had massive fleets and advanced weapons. Each had been wrong. Jay's team was different. They weren't soldiers in the traditional sense. They were survivors, engineers, scientists, and strategists who had grown up understanding that survival meant thinking beyond conventional wisdom. Where other species saw obstacles, humans saw opportunities. The station's communication network buzzed with fragmented reports. Distant outposts reported strange energy signatures. The Void Swarm was getting closer, its massive biomechanical forms consuming everything in their path. They weren't just a military threat, they were a complete ecosystem of destruction. Young technicians worked alongside veteran strategists, their fingers dancing across holographic displays. Complex algorithms calculated potential invasion routes, while simple survival protocols ran in background systems. Every human understood that complexity could be a weakness, and simplicity often meant survival. Genetic modifications from previous generations had made humans remarkably adaptable. Their bodies could withstand extreme conditions, their minds could process information at accelerated rates, and their creative problem-solving skills were unmatched. What seemed like a disadvantage, their relatively short technological history, became their greatest strength. Jay understood something that the Galactic Councils had overlooked. Humanity wasn't just fighting to survive, they were fighting to prove their place in the universe. Every challenge they had faced, climate disasters, global conflicts, resource wars, had prepared them for this moment. The station's AI systems began generating multiple scenario projections. Most showed catastrophic outcomes, but humans had learned long ago that projections were just possibilities, not certainties. Where machines calculated probabilities, humans created miracles. Storage chambers contained experimental technologies, devices that combined quantum mechanics, biological engineering, and pure human creativity. These weren't standard weapons, but adaptive systems that could change and respond in real time. Each device represented years of collective human innovation. Outside, the first wave of Void Swarm scouts appeared, massive, dark shapes that seemed to absorb light itself. They moved with a terrifying precision, consuming everything in their path. Traditional military strategies would fail. Human strategies might just work. Jay Park allowed himself a slight smile. The universe was about to learn a fundamental truth. Humanity might look broken, might seem primitive, but they were far from defeated. They were the ultimate survivors, the unexpected wildcards in a cosmic game of survival. The Void Swarm was coming, and humanity was ready. With each passing moment, the station prepared. Technicians checked systems. Engineers ran final calibrations. Soldiers, if they could be called that, adjusted experimental equipment. They weren't just preparing for a battle. They were preparing to change the course of galactic history. No one knew exactly what would happen. But everyone understood one thing. Surrender was not an option. Humanity would fight. Humanity would adapt. Humanity would survive. The alien scout ship crashed like a broken metal bird in the middle of the Gobi reclamation zone. Dust swirled around its twisted hull, creating a silent cloud that marked its violent descent. No one expected what would happen next. Hyun Kim approached the wreckage, her protective suit reflecting the harsh sunlight. She was not a soldier, not a traditional scientist, but an engineer who had grown up solving impossible problems. Her team moved carefully, years of survival training evident in every calculated step. The ship's exterior looked like nothing humans had seen before. Metallic surfaces shifted and pulsed with strange energy, almost breathing like a living organism. Traditional scanning methods would fail, but Hyun's team was anything but traditional. Small drones buzzed around the wreckage, their sensors capturing data at microscopic levels. Each movement was precise, each scan calculated to reveal the smallest detail. Humans had learned that survival depended on understanding, not just fighting. Inside the crashed ship, something extraordinary waited. Fragments of technology that seemed to defy known physical laws. Neural network designs that looked more like organic systems than mechanical constructions. The Void Swarm's technology was unlike anything encountered before. Hyun's fingers moved across her adaptive interface, translating alien signals into comprehensible data streams. Where other researchers would see complexity, she saw patterns. Where others would get confused, she saw opportunities. This isn't just a weapon system, she whispered to her lead assistant Park Min. This is a living network. It thinks. It adapts. The Stellar Alliance communication channels buzzed with dismissive remarks. Humans were considered primitive, their technological understanding barely worth acknowledging. But Hyun knew something they didn't. Limitation was often a matter of perspective. Underneath the ship's complex exterior, she discovered a critical weakness. The Void Swarm's neural network had a fundamental flaw. It relied on centralized decision-making. One perfectly placed disruption could create a cascading failure across entire systems. Days turned into weeks. The research team worked in shifts, converting the alien technology into something humans could understand and potentially use. They weren't trying to copy the technology. They were learning how to break it. Experimental devices began taking shape. Small, intelligent systems that could think faster than any predictive algorithm. Weapons that weren't just about destruction, but about intelligent intervention. Each design challenged traditional military thinking. The Gobi Zone, once a symbol of environmental destruction, now became humanity's most important research center. Survivors from different backgrounds, engineers, mathematicians, former soldiers, worked together with a single purpose. Global communication networks began sharing fragments of discovery. Small research stations across Earth started developing their own variations of the technology. Where other species would centralize research, humans distributed it. Another unexpected advantage. Park Min developed a breakthrough communication algorithm that could potentially disrupt the Void Swarm's neural network. It wasn't about massive power, but intelligent, unpredictable intervention. Something machines couldn't easily calculate. Hyun understood that their greatest weapon wasn't technology. It was human creativity. The ability to see solutions where others saw only problems. The capacity to adapt when everything seemed impossible. The Stellar Alliance continued to laugh. Humans? Developing technology that could challenge the Void Swarm? Impossible. But impossibility had never stopped humanity before. As the research continued, something remarkable happened. The alien technology began revealing secrets that went beyond simple weapon design. It showed potential communication methods, energy transfer techniques, and adaptive learning systems that could revolutionize understanding of cosmic interactions. Hyun looked at the fragmented alien technology, her eyes reflecting determination. The Void Swarm thought they were hunting a weak, divided species. They were about to learn a very different lesson. Humanity was ready, and the universe was about to change. The research continued. The clock was ticking, the Void Swarm was coming, and They had no idea what was waiting for them. The first human squadron looked nothing like a traditional military fleet. Cobbled together ships with experimental systems moved through the darkness of space, each vessel a testament to human creativity and desperation. Commander Dong Choi stood on the bridge of the lead ship, the Firebreak. His team was unlike any military unit in galactic history. They were survivors, engineers, and strategic thinkers who understood that survival meant breaking every known rule. Their ships were small, agile, and completely unpredictable. Where alien civilizations built massive battleships, humans created something else entirely. Intelligent, adaptive combat units that could think faster than any computer system. The Void Swarm's first scout groups approached, massive dark shapes that seemed to consume light itself. Traditional military analysis would have suggested immediate retreat. But Dong's team saw something different, a complex system with exploitable weaknesses. First contact happened in a sector designated as Frontier Zone 7. The alien sensors detected the human ships, expecting an easy target. What they found was anything but predictable. Instead of direct confrontation, the human squadron began a series of complex maneuvers that defied logical combat patterns. They moved like living organisms, not mechanical units. Where one ship would appear, 3 would suddenly vanish, only to reappear in unexpected locations. The experimental quantum disruption systems developed in the Gobi Research Zone came to life. Small energy pulses began attacking the Void Swarms. Neural network not with brute force but with intelligent targeted interventions. One by one, Void Swarm communication nodes began to destabilize. Their perfect synchronized movements started to break down. For the first time, the cosmic predators looked vulnerable. Dong watched the battle unfold with calculated calm. His team wasn't just fighting. They were learning, adapting, understanding the enemy's fundamental weaknesses in real time. Communication channels across human settlements erupted with excitement. The impossible was happening. A species considered primitive was successfully engaging the most dangerous threat the galaxy had ever seen. The battle wasn't about destruction. It was about understanding. Each human ship collected data, transmitted insights, created a living map of the Void Swarm's potential vulnerabilities. Smaller ships began using psychological warfare techniques, strange signal patterns, unexpected movement sequences, complex communication disruptions that confused the alien neural network. The Void Swarm encountered something they had never seen before, an enemy that didn't think like a machine. 3 entire Void Swarm sectors began to collapse, not through massive weapon systems, but through intelligent, targeted interventions that attacked their fundamental communication structures. The Stellar Alliance communication networks went silent. Their long-standing dismissal of human capabilities suddenly seemed monumentally wrong. Dong's team wasn't celebrating. They were analyzing, preparing, understanding that this was just the beginning. One successful engagement didn't mean victory. It meant an opportunity to learn, to adapt, to survive. Back on Earth, research stations worked overtime. Every piece of data from the battle was being analyzed, dissected, understood. Humans were turning the most terrifying threat in galactic history into a learning opportunity. The experimental ships of the Firebreak Squadron represented something more than a military unit. They were living proof of human adaptability, creativity, and unexpected potential. As the battle concluded, something became clear. The Void Swarm had encountered many technological civilizations, but they had never encountered a species like humans. Unpredictable, creative, driven by survival instinct that went beyond simple technological advantage. Commander Dong Choi looked at his team. They weren't soldiers in the traditional sense. They were survivors. They were humanity's first line of defense. And they were just getting started. The galaxy was watching. The Void Swarm was confused. And humanity had just changed everything. The first strike was complete. But the war was just beginning. Dr. Supark's laboratory looked like organized chaos. Holographic displays flickered with complex mathematical equations, while experimental devices hummed with strange energy. Years of research had led to this moment, a breakthrough that could change everything. The quantum entanglement weapon wasn't a traditional weapon. It was a living system, an intelligent network that could simultaneously attack multiple targets across different dimensional spaces. Where other scientists saw complexity, Sue saw possibility. Alien observers had been watching humanity's progress with increasing concern. The first strikes against the Void Swarm had been unexpected. This new development was something else entirely. Prototype devices began taking shape. Small, almost insignificant-looking machines that carried potential far beyond their size. Each device represented years of human creativity, of pushing beyond known technological boundaries. The Stellar Alliance communication networks buzzed with confusion. Humans were developing something that challenged everything they understood, about warfare, about technology, about survival. Sue's team worked in shifts, their movements precise and calculated. They weren't just building a weapon. They were creating a new way of understanding cosmic conflict. Each team member brought a unique perspective: former soldiers, mathematicians, engineers, survivors who understood that innovation meant survival. Initial testing showed remarkable results. The quantum entanglement systems could disrupt neural networks in ways no traditional technology could achieve. They didn't just attack, they confused, they adapted, they learned. Global research stations began sharing data. Where other species would centralize research, humans distributed it. Information flowed like water, each location adding its own unique perspective to the developing technology. The first full-scale test happened in a carefully controlled sector. The experimental device looked almost unremarkable, a small, metallic sphere no larger than a human hand. But when activated, it did something extraordinary. Multiple Void Swarm communication nodes began to destabilize simultaneously, not through brute force but through intelligent, targeted interventions that attacked their fundamental communication structures. Military commanders watched in disbelief. Where they expected massive weapons, humans had created something entirely different, an intelligent system that could think faster than any known technology. Sue understood something critical. This wasn't just about fighting. It was about understanding. Each test, each failure, each small success was a step towards comprehending an enemy that had destroyed entire civilizations. The quantum devices began to reveal something unexpected. They weren't just weapons. They were learning systems that could adapt in real time, understanding the Void Swarm's neural network better than the enemy understood itself. Alien military advisors began to pay attention. The species they had dismissed was showing capabilities that challenged everything they knew about technological warfare. Prototype ships began integrating the new technology. They weren't massive battleships, but small, intelligent units that could move, think, and respond faster than any traditional military system. Global communication networks erupted with excitement. Humanity was no longer just surviving. They were becoming something else entirely, a species capable of challenging the most dangerous threat the galaxy had ever seen. The combined fleet prepared for a massive counteroffensive. Human strategists would lead the planning, bringing their unique perspective of adaptation and creative problem-solving. Dr. Sue Park looked at the final prototype. It represented more than a weapon. It was proof of human potential, of the incredible capacity to transform challenge into opportunity. The Void Swarm was about to learn a fundamental lesson. Humanity was not just another species to be consumed. They were a force of nature, unpredictable and unbreakable. The quantum revolution had begun, and nothing would ever be the same again. The galaxy held its breath, waiting to see what would happen next. The final battle wasn't what anyone expected. No massive explosions, no traditional military confrontation. It was a war of intelligence, of adaptation, of pure human creativity. Captain J. Park stood on the bridge of the reconstructed Stellar Alliance flagship, watching the quantum networks come alive. Humanity's experimental technologies spread across the cosmic battlefield like intelligent liquid, finding and exploiting every possible weakness in the Void Swarm's complex neural system. Millions of small, intelligent devices moved through space. They weren't weapons in the traditional sense. They were living systems that could think, adapt, and respond faster than any known technology. Each device carried the collective creativity of human survival. The Void Swarm's massive neural network began to collapse from within, not through brute force but through intelligent disruption. Humans had discovered something critical. The enemy's greatest strength was also its most significant weakness. Communication channels across multiple star systems showed the same pattern. The seemingly invincible cosmic predator was falling apart, its perfect synchronization destroyed by human ingenuity. Dr. Sue Park watched from a remote research station, her quantum algorithms doing what no traditional military strategy could achieve. The devices weren't just attacking. They were learning, understanding, dismantling the Void Swarm's fundamental communication structures. Alien military commanders watched in disbelief. The species they had dismissed as primitive was systematically destroying the most dangerous threat the galaxy had ever encountered. Each human team operated with a unique combination of creativity and precision. They weren't following traditional military protocols. They were solving a complex puzzle, breaking down an impossibly advanced system piece by piece. The battle wasn't about destruction. It was about understanding. Humans had transformed a potential extinction event into the most significant learning opportunity in galactic history. Smaller human squadrons moved through space like living organisms. Their ships weren't massive technological marvels. They were adaptive, intelligent systems that could think and respond faster than any computer. As the final nodes of the Void Swarm's neural network began to collapse, something extraordinary happened. The alien system started to reveal its own secrets. Humanity wasn't just winning a war. They were uncovering fundamental mysteries of cosmic existence. Commander Dong Choi coordinated the final interventions. Each movement was calculated, each decision based on real-time learning and adaptation. The experimental quantum systems were performing beyond anyone's expectations. Global communication networks on Earth erupted with a mixture of hope and excitement. Survivors who had spent generations fighting for existence were watching their species transform the entire understanding of cosmic conflict. The Stellar Alliance communication channels went silent. Their long-standing dismissal of human potential was being completely dismantled in real time. Hours turned into moments. The Void Swarm's perfect synchronized movement began to break down. Massive neural networks that had consumed entire civilizations were falling apart, attacked by something they couldn't understand or predict. J. Park allowed himself a slight smile. Humanity had done more than survive. They had proven their place in the universe. As the final disruption spread, the Void Swarm's massive systems began to disintegrate, not through massive weapon systems but through intelligent, targeted interventions that attack their fundamental communication structures. The galaxy watched in stunned silence. Humanity had transformed from a species considered primitive to the architects of galactic defense. Their journey from survival to salvation was complete. The Stellar Alliance would never be the same. Humans would now play a central role in strategic planning, technological innovation, and understanding cosmic threats. Dr. Sue Park looked at the final data streams. They had done more than win a war. They had opened a new chapter in galactic understanding. Captain J. Park's voice broke the silence on the bridge. "The threat is neutralized," he said simply, but everyone understood. This was more than a victory. This was humanity's redemption. The stars seemed to pause, acknowledging a species that had transformed from survivors to saviors.